I was reported by a colleague because I was delayed for half an hour in going to the medical university for class. As I was rescuing a critically ill child, the school not only revoked my eligibility for evaluations, but also punished me with a school-wide notice. I complained to the husband of the vice dean of the medical university, but he exposed a recording to protect that colleague. I was then cyberbullied and had my personal information leaked. Internet celebrities even came to my door to create trouble for the sake of hype. In the end, I was pushed down the stairs and became a vegetable. On the verge of death, I saw my husband interacting intimately with my colleague, saying, "She can't stand in our way anymore." After being reborn, I found myself on the way to teach at the medical university. My colleague was crying and begging me to save someone. "Elena, what are you spacing out for? Hurry up and save him." I'd been pressing on his chest for 5 minutes, but why is he convulsing even more? Lila's shrill cry rang in my ears. I suddenly opened my eyes and saw her squatting on the ground, performing chest compressions, and a boy with polio was I. Reborn. The scene in front of me was so familiar that I quickly reacted and forcefully pushed Lila to stop her from continuing the wrong first aid. "What are you doing?" Lila sat on the ground, looking at me with a wronged expression. "Even if you don't want to help, don't stop me from saving people." As soon as she said this, the surrounding crowd immediately gathered around, pushing and shoving me with intense emotions. And accusations came one after another. Lila took the opportunity to get up and was about to rescue the boy again, but before her hand could touch the boy started rolling his eyes and foaming at the mouth. "Elena, the child's condition seems to be getting worse." She anxiously reached out to grab my hand, her voice full of panic, apparently realizing that the first aid method just now was wrong. I shook off her hand and said calmly, "For a child with polio, the most taboo thing is to move and press them randomly. You call 120 immediately. And find something to put in the child's mouth to prevent him from biting his tongue. I'll go to the nearby pharmacy to borrow a first aid kit." Lila, however, shook her head and refused. "I'll go borrow the first aid kit, you call 120. After all, you were the one who found the patient first. It'll be easier for you to explain when they ask later." I looked at her expressionlessly, knowing exactly what she was up to. In my past life, Lila also promised to borrow the first aid kit and let me focus on saving the child. I trusted her, but she turned on me. Getting the foreign students to report me for delaying teaching time and leaving my post for personal reasons. I couldn't defend myself when I confronted Lila. The principal live broadcasted the punishment notice. The school revoked my evaluation eligibility, and I was suspended. The child also passed away in the hospital a few days later due to missing the golden rescue time. I was cyberbullied, beaten, and pushed downstairs, becoming a vegetable. Eventually, as I drawnly thinking of the pain in my past life, I felt a chill all over my body and swore that I wouldn't let the tragedy repeat. I said coldly, "No need. I'll do it myself." Time was of the essence. I immediately rushed to the nearest pharmacy, quickly got the first aid kit, and returned to the scene. I noticed that the child's breath was weak. I opened the first aid kit and was about to perform first aid. Suddenly, Lila pushed me, and my waist hit the stone pier beside me, causing a sharp pain. Seeing that she was about to move the boy again, I stood up, bearing the pain, and shouted at her, "Don't touch him," but she seemed not to hear me and insisted on moving the boy, even asking the people around for help. I was furious. Rushed up, kicked her, grabbed her collar, and slapped her, my eyes fierce. "Do you want him to die?" Lila was scared by my appearance, her eyes red, but she dared not make a sound. I let go of her, and just as the child was about to bite his tongue, I stuffed a thick tree trunk into his mouth. Lila looked at me resentfully and whispered with tears in her eyes, "What's so great about you? I'll pay you back for this slap sooner or later." I had no time to care about her threat. The only thought in my mind was to save the child. When the ambulance arrived, after I helped send the child to the ambulance, the onlooking crowd heaved a sigh of relief and cheers rang out. In fact, even with both Lila and me, to professors from the medical university present, the child's condition was still as serious as in my past life, but this time, I promptly carried out the correct first aid measures, buying the child a bit of a chance. After coming out of the hospital, I was sitting on a chair, too exhausted to catch my breath, when someone grabbed my wrist viciously. Gabriel appeared in front of me with Lila. He kicked over my chair, and I fell to the ground in a sorry state. Elena, do you think you're so great? Gabriel's question was filled with bone-chilling coldness. Elena, do you know that because of your reckless treatment, the child's condition has worsened? Now the medical university has been pushed to the forefront of the hot search. His eyes were sharp as he put all the blame on me. How am I supposed to explain to the principal and the child's parents? Looking at my fiancé showing his ferocity towards me for Lila, the anger and chill in my heart intertwined. As the vice dean of the medical university, he clearly cared more about his reputation and status than the truth and justice. If you're jealous of Lila, just say so. Why did you interfere with her rescue? She originally had a chance to save that child from the hands of death. But you ruined it. Now the child is lying in the ICU, his life hanging in the balance. Elena, Lila and Gabriel are just in a superior subordinate relationship. You rage just too jealous. How could you even target a child? You heartless thing. Lila often speaks up for you in front of the dean and the principal. Sometimes she even substitutes for your classes. Is this how you repay her? The school colleagues also came. They didn't know the ins and outs of the matter at all but took Lila's side. It was clearly me who had helped them solve surgical problems time and time again. And it was me who had stayed up all night making plans to solve their difficult medical cases. But after Lila appeared, they changed their stance, flattering and praising her. In my past life, these colleagues squeezed me out for Lila. Even when I was expelled from the school, instead of lending a hand, they added fuel to the fire, making the netizens even angrier. I glared at Gabriel angrily and questioned, "You have the nerve to talk to me? Why did you first ask Lila what she did to a child with a sudden polio attack?" Gabriel glanced at Lila. Her eyes were red-rimmed, and she slightly shook her head as if silently pleading her innocence. He immediately gained confidence and said to me with a cold face, "No need to ask. Lila has the best medical skills in our medical university. She couldn't have made a mistake. As for you, because you were late and made the students wait for half an hour without reporting, the principal has decided to punish and criticize you through a live broadcast across the internet. Don't expect me to speak up for you. You're my fiancé, and if you're wrong, haven't you? You're wrong." I was so angry that I laughed. And I was completely disappointed in him. I never expected you to speak up for me. In both my past and present lives, I've seen clearly that Gabriel is selfish. He has always used me as a scapegoat to please Lila. I'm going to block this kind of person forever. You have such blind confidence in Lila. Is there something shady going on between you two? I unceremoniously pierced through his pretense. Also, I was the one who borrowed the first aid kit and carried out the first aid. If I hadn't stepped in, the child would have been tortured to death by Lila. Lila suddenly burst into tears. You're lying. There's nothing between me and Gabriel. You should have some limits to your jealousy. Moreover, I was the one who first noticed the child's problem and was about to save him. You suddenly rushed out and sabotaged, making the child's condition worse. I was the one who borrowed the first aid kit. Everyone here can testify for me. You don't need to lie to target me. I knew in my past life that Lila had a glib tongue and could make the dead seem alive, but I didn't expect she was so good at twisting the truth. Then let's call the police. There were so many onlookers at the scene. Surely someone is willing to come forward and testify. Let the police check the surveillance, and everything will come to light. I wasn't falling for Lila's tricks and suggested calling the police. Lila cried even louder, looking as delicate as a pear blossom in the rain, which made people feel sorry for her. Gabriel stepped forward to comfort her tenderly. He pointed at me angrily and said, "You can't take revenge on Lila just because of your suspicions. What you're doing is a violation of professional ethics." Lila took the opportunity to exaggerate the situation and accused me with a wronged look on her face. "You can slander me, but the patient's family is waiting for our explanation. Their grandson is still struggling on the verge of death. You can't shirk your responsibility like this." The colleagues surrounded Lila to comfort her and then scolded me one by one. "Yeah. Lila didn't do anything wrong. Why are you targeting her like this? Hurry up and apologize to her. Don't bring shame to the medical university. You should also compensate Lila for her mental damages. If it weren't for her, The child would have been killed by you long ago. They demanded that I apologize to Lila and compensate her. I refused to compensate and insisted on asking the principal to uphold justice. The dean of instruction led us to the principal with an unhappy look on his face. You act without considering the consequences, and when it comes to cleaning up the mess, you know to look for someone else. He glared at me, venting all his dissatisfaction on me. This left me puzzled. Lila sneered beside me. My intuition told me that the situation was not good. The dean of instruction and I usually had a good relationship, and our private communication was quite pleasant. Could it be that in this life, she was also going to side with Lila? It seemed that after being reborn, I still couldn't escape the fate of being punished by the principal. I followed the dean of instruction to the principal's office nervously. Principal, I must re-emphasize that I was late not out of recklessness or shirking responsibility, but out of a doctor's instinct to save a person, which delayed my class for the students. As soon as I entered the door, I explained urgently. The principal curled his lips into a sneer. Save a person? I think you were trying to show off and deliberately stage this rescue drama. Do you know that because of your selfishness, the child missed the best treatment time? Now the child is still lying in the hospital, and the parents are making a scene at the school gate. In his anger, he picked up a thick medical book and threw it at me, hitting me right on the forehead. The pain came instantly. I was a bit stunned by the blow, but when I saw Lila's triumphant look, I immediately came to my senses. Though I didn't let Lila interfere after being reborn, couldn't I still escape their joint smear campaign? What a perfect match. A bitch and a dog. I forcefully suppressed my anger and calmly stated the facts. When I found the child having a seizure, I immediately told people not to touch him. But Lila insisted on performing chest compressions on the patient on her own. If I hadn't stopped her, the child would have been killed by her long ago. I borrowed the first aid kit in the first place and stopped her from doing bad things. I have recordings and videos of all this. As I spoke, I was about to take out my phone to show the evidence. However, Oliver contemptuously threw out a folder, interrupting my display. Don't try to fool me with those edited videos. Your medical assessment ranking is at the bottom of the whole school. How high of a professional ethics and judgment can a professor have if she can't even master the basic knowledge firmly? I was stunned. I picked up the file and saw that my medical assessment score last month was only 25 points. This wasn't right. Oliver, there must be something wrong with the system. My practical operation and basic knowledge are both full marks. This score is incorrect. Gabriel suddenly snatched the folder and sneered at me. With this score, even the school dog could do better than you. I said you can't compare with Lila. You just know how to randomly save people all day long and even make mistakes in the most basic practical operations. Lila even tried to defend you. I think you don't deserve her to speak up for you. I watched him talking to himself and suddenly remembered something. Gabriel was one of the assessors last month in my past life. He also deliberately gave me a low score for Lila. I didn't expect that after being reborn, he was still using the same old trick. Gabriel, does it work for you to deliberately give me a low score for Lila? Trash is still trash. No matter how much you help her, she can't compare with me. I responded calmly and at the same time reminded the principal. I'd been at the medical university for 7 years. You should know best about my abilities. I was reminding Oliver that the medical university was a benchmark in the industry, and he was the longest-serving principal usually. He valued the school's reputation the most, as well as the reputation of doctors for saving lives. All he needed to do was investigate to find out what dirty tricks Lila and Gabriel had done to slander me in my past life. I cared about Gabriel and trusted him enough to complain to him about the unfairness in the school. As a result, he and Lila stabbed me in the back, playing my complaints on the internet for all to see. Adding another charge to my name now that I've been reborn, it means Gabriel's plot won't succeed this time. I looked at Oliver expectantly, only to find him looking at me with a creepy chill. He threw a tablet on the table in front of me and asked me furiously, "Take a good look and tell me out loud, who is the one randomly trying to save the child in this video?" In the video, I was repeatedly pressing on the child's chest, and the child was convulsing all over, foaming at the mouth. In a heart-stopping like critical condition. Amid my shock, I caught a glimpse of the barely noticeable sinister smile at the corner of Gabriel's mouth and instantly understood this video had been doctored with AI face swapping technology. I suddenly remembered that after I pushed Lila away, she was crying on the phone and soon Gabriel rushed over at that time. I was fully focused on the first date and didn't notice anything strange about him. Now it seems that in order to help Lila win the evaluation, he resorted to such despicable means to smear me in the medical university. My achievements were obvious to all, not to mention that I was invited to participate in the international seminar hosted by Professor Dew, a leading figure in the medical field. Such an opportunity was enough to make Gabriel and Lila jealous. Once my reputation was damaged, Gabriel could justifiably recommend Lila to replace me in the international seminar. I couldn't let them succeed and immediately argued my case in front of Oliver. This video is fake. It's AI face swapped. At that time it was clearly Lila who was pressing, and I was just standing beside her without doing anything. However, what greeted me was the cup of tea in Oliver's hand. The scalding tea was splashed right on the back of my hand, instantly turning it red and swollen. The pain almost made me suffocate. Look at you, arrogant and conceited. How can you compare with Lila's modesty and dedication? Now the public opinion outside is in an uproar. How do you expect the school to deal with this? The principal's anger was tinged with dissatisfaction and disappointment towards me. He continued to berate me. You're jealous of Lila's outstanding abilities and baselessly spread rumors about her relationship with Gabriel, ruining her reputation. Even if you're Gabriel's fiancé, this kind of behavior is too much. The hospital just called that child didn't make it. The family is devastated, and they're about to come to the school to make a scene. You have to step forward to calm the public opinion, attack the school's reputation. You immediately go out and kneel in front of them, publicly apologize and compensate them, and then take the initiative to resign and withdraw from the medical field. This is the only solution. His tone was unwavering, as if I had already become a burden to the school at this moment. My heart completely turned cold. I had thought that Oliver would be my solid support, but I never expected that he would be so easily blinded by rumors and even humiliate me in this way. I gritted my teeth tightly, my fingernails digging deep into my palms, and the pain kept me awake. Oliver, I won't resign. Nor will I apologize because I have a clear conscience. I'm going to call the police, check the surveillance, and clear my name. I also want everyone to see the truth. Gabriel, who was standing beside me, changed his complexion when he heard this, but quickly regained his composure. Fine, I'll go with you, Elena. Even if we're about to get married, if it's really your fault, I won't cover for you. Oliver looked at Gabriel with approval, as if his heartless act was the right thing to do. It's good that you go with her, in case she plays tricks. Elena. Considering your past contributions, I'll try to save you some face when announcing the punishment. Alarm bells went off in my mind. I was afraid that Gabriel would mess with the surveillance, so I stopped him from helping me call the police. Wait, I'll call. Just as I was about to dial, a dean of instruction rushed in panicked. Principal, something terrible has happened. The media and the family are making a scene at the school gate. Pulling a white mourning banner, demanding an explanation. Pulling a white mourning banner at the school gate would directly ruin the school's reputation if it got out. When Oliver heard this, he glared at me and shouted, "You go out and kneel right now in front of the media and the family. Admit that your wrong rescue led to the child's condition worsening. Say that this is your personal behavior and has nothing to do with the school." I stood still, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw the screen of his phone. Gabriel and Lila were standing on either side of him, smiling. The tacit understanding among the three of them was obvious. I wasn't that stupid. I finally understood that Oliver was in cahoots with Gabriel. No wonder Oliver was so partial to them. In my past life, it seemed that Lila also had a close relationship with Oliver. At this moment, all my doubts disappeared. They wanted to set a series of traps to harm me, but no way in this life. I would never let anyone pour dirty water on me again. Gabriel almost dragged me to the school gate to prevent me from speaking first. He had someone hold me back and cover my mouth. When the media and the family saw me, they became very emotional. If it weren't for the security guards, they might have rushed up to hit me. Everyone, please calm down and listen to me. Gabriel's voice wasn't loud, but it carried a sense of authority. I'm Gabriel, the vice dean of the medical university. I'm deeply sorrowful, grieved and sorry about this medical incident. Professor Lila's first aid methods have been strictly trained and verified. I firmly believe that her operation was correct. His statement didn't gain everyone's approval. A reporter pressed him aggressively. Can an apology bring the child back to life? Why did Elena stop Lila from saving the child? Was she jealous that Lila is a better doctor than you? I recognized this pressuring reporter in my past life. He was one of the people Gabriel paid to stir up public opinion. Just like in the past life, this reporter incited everyone present with just two sentences. Murderer, beat this murderer to death. Arrest her. How can such a person be worthy of being a doctor? The school must expel her and give us an explanation. Gabriel looked at everyone's excitement and a smile curled up at the corner of his mouth as he started his hypocritical act. The school has decided to deal with Elena seriously, including expelling her from school and publicly punishing her through a live broadcast across the internet. All the responsibilities will be borne by her alone. Even if she's my fiancé, I won't cover for her. Please everyone supervise. As soon as he finished speaking, he gave me a violent push, and I lost my balance and fell into the angry crowd fest and chicks rained down on me. I curled up into a ball, trying to protect my head just like in my past life. The pain seeped into every nerve. I gritted my teeth and stared wide-eyed, engraving every angry face deeply in my heart. Gabriel stood not far away. Watching with a sneer, he told the security guards not to interfere. Okay. Stop hitting. The dead can't be brought back to life. You can't beat her to death at the school gate just because of her mistake. Everyone, don't be so harsh. Elena surely knows she's wrong. He seemed to be stopping them. But in fact, he was allowing these people to vent their anger on me. This scene was exactly the same as when he watched infuriately as internet celebrities bullied me in my past life just as I was about to lose consciousness. The wail of a police siren cut through the air. Mom stumbled into the crowd and hugged me tightly. Stop hitting, don't hit my daughter. She was crying her heart out. At this moment I finally relaxed my clenched teeth and shed tears. On the way to the principal's office, I had an idea and sent a message to Mom, asking her to call the police and come to the school to find me in half an hour. The police quickly took control of the scene, but those people still glared at me as if they wanted to devour me alive. Why are you arresting us? You should arrest this murderer who deliberately stopped Lila from saving the child. Hearing Lila's name, I wanted to laugh, but it tugged at the torn corner of my mouth, causing even more pain. I'll make you laugh. Someone took the opportunity to hit my arm. Officer, does this person have a heart? She killed someone and is still laughing. The police shielded Mom and me behind him and turned back to scold me. Aren't you going inside? Do you still want to get beaten? I said expressionlessly. Why should I hide when I'm not wrong? If I hadn't stepped in time, that child would have died at Lila's hands long ago. This was the truth, but it only stoked the hatred. Everyone's angry emotions were ignited again. Mom tremblingly wiped the blood off my face with her hand and, with red eyes, shouted at them. My daughter is innocent. The child had a seizure and shouldn't be moved, let alone have their chest pressed. Why don't you go beat Lila? Mom's words didn't make them reflect. Instead, they thought Mom was just like me, with malicious intent. And they started to curse Mom. Like mother, like daughter, your family must have harmed a lot of people. Officer, you should lock these two up in jail and torture her to find out why she killed that child. The police looked at me and then asked the onlookers, can you provide evidence to prove that she killed the child? I finally waited for this question. Since they couldn't produce any evidence, the police became a bit impatient. Gabriel volunteered to tell the police. There's a video online that can prove she used the wrong method to treat the child. I sneered and then asked Mom to turn on her phone and show it to the police. This is the real situation at the scene. The child had polio. When having a seizure, the child shouldn't be moved randomly. Lila directly started pressing on the chest, which made the child's condition worse. Gabriel's face changed drastically. He lunged forward, trying to destroy the evidence, but his plan failed. I raised my hand and slapped him, almost knocking him off his feet. He endured the pain and roared at me, his voice a bit panicked. You're lying. Who knows if this video is forged by you? I know clearly that you're trying to use this opportunity to frame Lila and smear the school, I curled my lips into a cold smile, my eyes full of disdain and sarcasm. You say I forged it, then show me the evidence, or are you afraid that the truth will come out and expose the abnormal relationship between you and Lila? This sentence was like a stone thrown into water, and the crowd started to whisper. Gabriel's face turned livid as he retorted, Elena, you're spreading rumors. Lila and I are innocent. You were using this incident to frame us just to get attention. How cruel-hearted you are. I retorted without showing any weakness. I'm telling the truth. Why are you so guilty? You claim to love me, but behind my back, you're entangled with Lila. Now you still want to pour dirty water on me? The onlookers' eyes shifted back and forth between me and Gabriel, and skeptical voices began to emerge. Yeah, why doesn't this Gabriel defend his fiancé but instead sides with Lila? Could there really be something shady going on between them? These voices made Gabriel completely panicked. With red eyes and a trembling voice, he said, I didn't. Don't listen to her. She often makes up lies to make me do what she wants. Every time I protected her, it only led to her becoming more controlling. This time, I don't want to cover for her anymore. Please believe me. In my past life, when I was XXX and cyberbullied, Gabriel posted online, portraying me as a woman with strong control freak tendencies. He packaged himself with patience and love, making netizens hate me even more. Eventually, when those internet celebrities came to my place and live-streamed my humiliation, the bullet comments were filled with words like, Gabriel, you're free now. But now, I've been reborn, and everything is different. Mom couldn't hold back anymore. She stormed forward and gave Gabriel a resounding slap. Stop pretending to be innocent. The other night, I saw you and Lila kissing downstairs of my house with my own eyes. What else do you have to say? Gabriel was a bit dazed by this slap. He covered his face, a flash of panic in his eyes as he tried to pretend to be calm. Auntie, you must be seeing things. Your eyesight is failing. My eyes are not that bad, Mom interrupted him, shouting sharply, you claim to love my daughter, but behind her back, you post online, slandering my daughter as a mental patient. Gabriel's face turned pale, and he tried to struggle and continue his explanation. I didn't slander her. Last month Elena was researching mental illness cases. I wanted to help, but then I found out she had a habit of sleepwalking. The person you saw was actually her. I just played along to keep you from worrying. What a pack of lies. After he said these words, an eerie silence fell over the scene. Mom and I both sneered. Gabriel noticed that the onlookers' expressions had changed. They looked at him with hatred and anger. Because Mom had posted another video online and broadcast it to all the nearby mobile phones, it was the real video of me saving the child. After being reborn, I didn't pin my hopes on anyone. From the moment I borrowed the first aid kit, my phone had been recording the whole process. So, Gabriel and Lila, this time you'll pay an even heavier price. Gabriel also received this video, and his face instantly turned ashen. Elena, having fulfilled my obsession. Why didn't you show this video in the principal's office just now? This must be a fake video. Is it fun for you to deceive everyone? The video was real, but I hadn't intended to show it to Oliver. In my past life, he had punished and expelled me without even bothering to find out the truth. I couldn't trust a person like him. I deliberately wanted to let Gabriel and the others' anger fuel this incident and then let them reap what they had sown. Stop arguing. You'd better think about how to clean up this mess, I said, looking at him expressionlessly. After examining the two videos, the police said to Gabriel, Gabriel, please contact Ms. Lila as soon as possible. We need her to come here for an investigation. Gabriel glared at me resentfully. But under the police's gaze, he had to take out his phone and make the call. However, there was no answer at the other end. At this time, Lila might be at the hospital. How about I cooperate with you in the investigation instead? This scene made the onlookers even more suspicious, and they started to murmur, look, he's clearly trying to cover for Lila. What's the use of you cooperating? In the video, it's Lila who pushed Elena away and gave the wrong first aid on her own. Let her come out and explain to everyone. The video Elena took with her own phone is much clearer. The ones on the internet can't compare. It seems we were really misled. I thought the video on the internet looked off. The face didn't seem natural. So it was AI face swapping technology. Gabriel was sweating on his forehead, trying to stabilize the situation. Everyone, don't misunderstand if it's really Lila's fault. I'll make her come out and take responsibility, but if it's Elena's fault, I'll also make her take responsibility. I believe my fiancé won't run away. Listening to his words, I was seething with anger. In my past life, after I was punished, suspended, and publicly announced across the internet by the school, I went to Gabriel to complain about the unfairness, but he turned around and exposed the recording online, pushing me into an even deeper predicament when I found out about his relationship with Lila. Instead of explaining, he violently brought those internet celebrities to harass me at home. When I asked him why, Gabriel looked at me with disgust and said, "You always look down on me, you raid, not even half as gentle as Lila. And after the incident, you even tried to drag me down with you. Fortunately, Lila told me about your scheme. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know how I'd die. Get out of my sight and don't let me see you again." He was standing right in front of me, hugging Lila, watching those internet celebrities beat me. I tried my best to escape, but they still pushed me downstairs. And I became a vegetable when I was lying in the hospital, my life hanging in the balance. Gabriel, in the name of loving me, created an image of a good fiancé. He posted articles praying for me to wake up online and on his WeChat moments, touching everyone. He live streamed in the hospital, crying to the netizens. The hospital said Elena might be in a permanent coma. I've used all my money to compensate the family of the child she killed. There's no extra money to save her. I discussed it with her aunt yesterday. We're going to let her got his way. She can also be free after all. She did take a life at S like one life for another. Netizens were moved by his true feelings, and one after another supported him in pulling out the life support tube that night. I still had a glimmer of consciousness, but Gabriel cut off my life. In my last moments of clarity, I opened my eyes and saw him making out with Lila on the adjacent bed. He said, "This bitch can't stand in our way anymore." From his words, I also learned that Gabriel had bought a critical illness insurance for me a month earlier. And he was the sole beneficiary after I died. Everyone was still scolding me online. A month later, Gabriel and Lila got married holding the money from the insurance company. They pretended to cry, saying they missed me. Instead of blaming him for getting married so soon, netizens were touched by his deep love for me. Since then, Gabriel's persona was fully established. But I died with my eyes wide open and was reborn. Gabriel's forehead was covered with beads of sweat. He was under pressure and trying to silence the public's criticism, but before he could open his mouth, someone hit him on the back of the head. The onlookers didn't buy his act at all. The child's father was emotional, his voice trembling. "Gabriel, what on earth is your relationship with Lila? I want the truth. If you don't make it clear today, I'll put my child's body at the school gate and let everyone see the despicable things you've done." He clenched his fists, his eyes filled with hatred as he stared at Gabriel. His waist bag was bulging, and the handle of a knife was showing. I felt that this father was acting a bit strange. The voices of the crowd grew louder and louder. Gabriel anxiously dialed Lila's number again, only to be told that the number was no longer in service. Seeing Gabriel's shocked expression, I burst out laughing. I never expected that Lila would abandon him first. Gabriel tried to find an excuse to slip away, but the child's father grabbed him, leaving him with no way to escape. Just then, Oliver showed up with the dean of instruction. "Principal, help me," Gabriel cried out for help in a hurry. "I can't get through to Lila on the phone. They won't let me go, insisting that I have something to do with her." Hearing this, the child's father snorted. "If you had nothing to do with her, why are you covering for her so much?" Oliver cleared his throat, stood in front of the crowd and bowed deeply. "I apologize to everyone on behalf of the school. We will take responsibility for this matter and make the person responsible compensate for all the losses. Please be patient. I will definitely give you a satisfactory answer." These words gradually calmed the angry mood of the crowd. However, the child's father still insisted it was Lila's fault. "I want her to apologize publicly across the internet and compensate. I want everyone to know the truth of the accident." Gabriel suddenly broke free from his restraint and stood in front of Oliver, saying bravely, The matter hasn't been investigated clearly yet. You can't convict anyone casually. Oliver has said he will give you an explanation, so you should trust him. He is an authority in the medical university and a leading figure in the medical field in his 20-year tenure. Our school has never had a wrong accident, and this time we won't cover it up either. Oliver looked at Gabriel with admiration in his eyes. He tried to be polite to the child's father. Sir, would you like to come to my office and have a chat? We can talk in detail. The child's father didn't buy it and said emotionally. What's there to talk about? It was Lila who killed my child. If Professor Elena had been allowed to save him, my child would definitely still be alive. I want Lila to come out and apologize. I want the public to see the truth. My heart skipped a beat, and I looked at the child's father in disbelief. Could he have been reborn too? Otherwise, why was he so certain that it was Lila who killed his child? Oliver, as an experienced person, didn't get angry. Instead, he assured the child's father. Brother, I know your child is the apple of your eye. I'm also very sad and regretful about his passing. Our school will definitely conduct a fair and just investigation into this matter. And the police are here to you have to believe that we will give you a satisfactory answer. Now, I just want to know what your current demands are. How much compensation do you want? I hope I can help. As expected, an old hand is a match for any situation. Oliver's words were somewhat persuasive, but the child's father's face remained cold. Can't you understand me? Let Lila come out and compensate me and apologize to us. Oliver's smile froze at the corners of his mouth. Okay. Then let's go inside and talk. I'll have someone find her and bring her to the office. Is that okay? The child's father seemed to be running out of patience. His hand quietly reached for the handle of the knife at his waist. In my past life, he had also come to the school to make trouble and used the fruit knife at his waist to attack people in the school. I immediately walked over to dissuade him. Sir, why don't you go to the office with the principal and have a chat? It'll be better for everyone. As I spoke, I gently patted the back of his hand twice and signaled the surrounding police with my eyes. The child's father woke up and suddenly bowed to me. Thank you, Elena, for reminding me. I almost lost my temper. Gabriel and Oliver's faces instantly turned gloomy when they saw the child's father bowing to me after all their efforts. It turned out that my single sentence was more effective. The arrival of the police had already made Oliver irritated. And now the people from the Education Bureau came, asking the school to cooperate with the investigation. He finally stopped pretending and blew up on the spot, yelling at me. Elena, as a professor at the medical university, you didn't remind Lila in time that her way of saving the child was wrong. You also left your post without permission and were irresponsible to the students. Your behavior has seriously violated the school's rules and regulations. Even if it was Lila's fault, you can't escape the main responsibility. I must give everyone an explanation for this matter. You should resign on your own. I sneered and told everyone at the top of my voice. Oliver, you're really good at reversing right and wrong. If the school really has nothing to hide, why be afraid of being investigated? You're getting angry because I exposed the fact that you've been covering up your illegitimate daughter, Lila. And the truth that you've turned teaching into a hotbed of corruption. As for this piece of trash, Gabriel, if Lila likes him, she can have him, but please keep them away from me. I find them disgusting. As soon as these words were spoken, the scene erupted in an uproar. The parents started whispering, their eyes filled with shock and unease. Oliver's face dark and to the point of being menacing. He pointed at me and shouted, "This is slander. You can go to jail for spreading false rumors." I showed no fear and said in a firm voice, Lila, a doctor who botched surgeries, causing patients to be disabled for life, actually can stand on the podium blatantly. Isn't this the result of you covering up and indulging her behind the scenes? Oliver and Gabriel's faces turned pale instantly. He tried to defend himself, but the onlooking crowd surrounded them tightly. If it weren't for the police protecting them, they would have been beaten to a pulp. I didn't know how Gabriel and Lila faked the evaluation results, but I knew that after being reborn, I wouldn't take the blame as muddle-headed lie as I did in my past life. So when I saw the photo on Oliver's phone screen, I asked my mom to secretly look into Oliver's family background online. I never expected he was so immoral. His wife was abroad taking care of their son, while he was having an affair and raising the mistress's child. Lila, outside. Gabriel wanted to climb the ladder, so he hooked up with Lila behind my back. In order to get a high amount compensation, they plotted to kill me. Since they wanted to get rid of me, I would fight them to the bitter end and ruin their careers. The police sealed off the school and the Education Bureau, having received my report, started an in-depth investigation. It was discovered that Lila not only made mistakes in surgeries many times, but also deliberately used low-cost and inferior materials to make a profit, and this time, when rescuing the child, she deliberately created a chance encounter in order to become famous, but used the wrong method and caused the child's death. She made innocent students report me, trying to make me her scapegoat. The videos on the internet were also fake ones made by her and Gabriel, who paid someone to use AI face-swapping technology after the truth came out. Those who had beaten and slandered me finally bowed their heads and sincerely apologized to me in the face of irrefutable evidence. Oliver was being taken away, and was still struggling desperately during the investigation. Dear leaders, I know I was wrong. I promise I'll never do it again. Please give me one more chance. Just one, but no one paid any attention to him. The parents even jointly wrote a letter to report his bribery in an instant. The names of Oliver, Gabriel, and Lila, associated with the medical university, made it to the hot search list. Netizens dug out videos of Gabriel's infidelity, and even the videos of him being affectionate with Lila on campus were exposed. They were doxxed and cyberbullied to the extent that they dared not go out. At the same time, the video of me actually saving people went viral on the internet. In the video, I was calm and decisive, racing against death and finally snatching fresh lives back from the hands of death. This video was like a breath of fresh air, washing away people's negative impressions of the medical and educational fields, and I became a heroine in people's mouths. A week later, the police announced the final investigation results. There were indeed serious problems in the medical university. The teaching quality was low, and medical accidents occurred frequently. Each issue was enough to ruin the reputation of this once glorious school. The school's stock price plummeted, and the stock prices of major medical colleges across the country also declined. Education bureaus and police stations everywhere launched investigations, causing panic among people. Oliver, the principal, who was once regarded as a leading figure and a rising star in the medical field, was reported for taking kickbacks and accepting bribes, and was put on file for investigation by the police in court. With irrefutable evidence, Oliver couldn't escape legal sanctions and was sent to prison. His private life scandals were also exposed, sparking heated discussions online. His wife, who was abroad, saw the news, angrily returned to the country, divorced Oliver, and had the mistress and Lila beaten up by some people, cutting off all their sources of income. Even when the two of them knelt on the street to apologize to everyone, no one showed them any sympathy. Lila and her mother became homeless. Gabriel, having lost his support, came to me, hoping I could help him. He blocked me at the stairwell, slapped himself a few times in front of me, and looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. Elena, I'm not a human being. Seeing that I was unmoved, he knelt down in front of me and pleaded, I know I did a lot of wrong things before. I was blind to believe Lila and hurt you, but now I'm really at the end of my rope. Can you help me? I stepped hard on the back of his hand and said coldly, Not grudge between us can't be resolved with just an apology. Even if you die, I won't forgive you. Gabriel endured the pain and continued to be obsequious. Can't you? For the sake of how good I was to you before, give me a hand? It was Lila who insisted on getting close to me. We only had a relationship a few times, but you're the one I love the most. I just made this one mistake. Why can't you forgive me? Listening to what he said made me sick. I withdrew my foot, picked up my phone, and sneered. Either get lost or I'll call the police. You choose. Gabriel glared at me angrily. Fine. Elena, you'll regret this. He left in a huff. I still called the police, but when I got back inside, I felt a bit depressed. This small house was chosen by Gabriel and me. We had been in love here for 8 years. 8 years. I gave him the best of my youth, but it was only after my death that I saw his ugly side. Fortunately, God gave me a chance to be reborn this time. I saved myself and got out of the shadow they cast. I didn't take Gabriel's words to heart. But unexpectedly, he paid a group of hooligans to try to take revenge on me. One rainy night, as I was walking home alone, suddenly, several figures emerged from the shadows and surrounded me. Just when I was in despair, a tall figure appeared and beat up those hooligans. It was the child's father, Theodore. He asked with concern, Elena, are you okay? I shook my head and said with lingering fear, I'm okay, thank you. Theodore had come to thank me for helping to fund the child's burial and happened to run into this scene. He said indignantly, these scoundrels. They were unlucky to run into me. I won the gold medal in free fighting last month. The police took those hooligans away, Theodore advised me. Elena, you better not go out alone recently. Your ex-boyfriend hasn't reported to the police yet, he might try to do you harm. If you need help, I can ask some of my brothers to protect you. His words were sincere, but I was conflicted inside. In my past life, it wasn't just Gabriel who tried to take my life. Theodore, in front of me, was also involved because he was too grief-stricken over the child's death. When those internet celebrities came to make trouble, he secretly stabbed me in the back. That very stab made me fall down the stairs and become a vegetable on the spot. The physical memory made me afraid of him. Theodore noticed and distanced himself from me. You should have my phone number. Elena, just call me if you need anything. I tried hard to suppress my body's trembling, put on a smile, and said to him, then I'll trouble you to find someone to protect me. Theodore was stunned for a moment, then nodded in agreement. Sure, I'll make sure your ex-boyfriend won't hurt you. He kept his word from that day on. He sent people to protect me closely. Finally, one night, Theodore and his men caught Gabriel and sent him to the police station. However, due to insufficient evidence, Gabriel was only detained for a few days and then released after Gabriel found out that I had moved. He vented all his anger on Lila after getting drunk. He found Lila, who was sleeping under the overpass, and brutally beat her, causing her to have a cerebral hemorrhage and internal organ displacement. Eventually she became a vegetable and could only lie in bed for the rest of her life. Lila's mother was also beaten by Gabriel after she escaped. She called the police. Gabriel was arrested and sentenced to prison. Upon learning the news of Lila's serious injury, Oliver's anger and despair reached their peak. He used his connections in prison to try to take revenge on Gabriel. On the first day Gabriel was imprisoned, he begged me to visit him. I wasn't interested, but thinking about the hardships I endured in my past life, I decided to go and mock him. To make myself feel better, Gabriel looked at me and said affectionately, Elena, I'm a beast. I'm sorry for making you suffer so much. When I saw the affectionate look in Gabriel's eyes, I suddenly realized that he had awakened his past life memories. I don't accept your apology. I only want you to die. This was the only outcome I had ever wanted. Gabriel wasn't angry. Instead, he cried and said, it's so good that you're still alive. I hung up the phone and left. The gaze on my back was intense as I walked away. The next day, the news of Gabriel's murder in prison was on the news. Oliver, who originally only needed to serve a few years in prison, was now sentenced to death on the day of his execution. Mom and I had a hot pot meal to celebrate. We celebrated my rebirth. We celebrated that in this life, I hadn't been staying with dirt from then on. Everything in my life went smoothly, and no one could hurt me anymore.